Hi guys, Top Notch 3B Unit 9 Controversial Issues. How politically literate are you? Test yourself to find out. Politically literate, it means how much do you know about politics? Okay. Um, there is a vocabulary box. Let's listen to this part and we are going to discuss the questions. Number 5, 2.
CD5. Read and listen.
A government,
Campaign.
politics,
A democracy.
a constitution,
A monarchy.
an election,
A dictatorship.
vote,
A constitutional monarchy.
Okay, now we are going to answer the questions in this part. You see, there are some questions here, and the answers are included in this part. You should upside down it. اینو برعکسش کنید. جواب این سوالا قشنگ اینجا پیداست. A group of people who govern a country, a government or constitution. Constitution یعنی قانون اساسی. Okay, so a group of people who are governing a country, they are called government. Number 1 is government. Number 2, the art or science of government. Government or governing. Constitution or politics, this is politics. A set of basic laws and principles that a country is governed by, which cannot easily be changed the political party in power. It is constitution. Constitution, I told you, the rules of the country. This is constitution. An occasion when people vote to choose someone for an official position. This is election, انتخابات. Show by making a paper or using a machine, etc., which person you want in government position. Govern or vote. Vote. Vote in right order. Look at here, what is number 5? Vote. Number 6. Lead or take part in a series of actions intended to win an election for a government position. Campaign or vote. Campaign means election battle. مبارزات انتخاباتی. Look at here. When you take part in a series of actions, number 6, look at 6. This is a campaign. A system of government in which every citizen in the country can vote to elect its government's official. Democracy or monarchy. Monarchy means a country ruled by a king or queen. But democracy, people are making decisions, so the answer is democracy. Look at number 7, democracy. A system which a country is ruled by a king or queen. King or queen. Dictatorship or a monarchy. Monarchy means a country ruled by a king or queen. A dictatorship means a country ruled by a dictator. So when we say a king or queen, the answer is monarchy. Number 7, monarchy. Yes. Number 7 is a system which in which a country is ruled by, we read this one, government by a ruler who has complete power. Monarchy or dictatorship is a dictatorship. A country ruled by a king or queen whose power is limited by a constitution. You see, there is a queen or a king, but also it is based on the rules of the country. هم اون پادشاهی هم قانون اساسی مهمه براش. So it is a constitutional monarchy. میشه سلطنت مشروطه. Some of the countries have this one. This is not dictatorship. Dictator means, but there is a king and queen who is ruling the country and constitution. قانون اساسی هم مهمه. This is the answer. The answer is a constitutional monarchy. Okay, let's go to this part. How much do you know about world politics? On the chart, discuss and write the name of at least one country for each government. For example, a country which has a democracy, write the name. Monarchy, write the name. A constitutional monarchy, write it here. And dictatorship, complete this part, take a photo and send it to me. Let's go to this part. We are going to listen. After listening, please read it, record your voice, and send it to me. Number 3.
CD 5. Vocabulary. Political terminology. Reason.
A constitution.
Oh, sorry, I made a mistake.
An
Wait.
election.
Number 3.
Page 99. Exercise C. Photo story. Read and listen to a conversation about discussing politics.
What a coincidence. I was just thinking about calling you. It's been
What a coincidence. Coincidence, we had it in the earlier lessons. Accidentally and by chance you see someone and you two are in a special place. At the same time you see someone you were thinking for.
such a long time. It sure has. Let's sit down and catch up. What are you up to these days? Busy. The office has been crazy with the election coming up next month. You can imagine. But I'll bet working at a TV station is exciting. Hey, Paul, do you mind if I ask you a political question? I hope it's not inappropriate. I am not sure it's
Inappropriate.
polite to ask about
Right.
politics here in the U.S.
Inappropriate means it means something which is not suitable. Well, something which is not suitable.
That's funny. They always say not to talk about religion or politics, but everyone does. Shoot.
Okay, religion, mazhab, politics, siyasat.
Okay. Who are you planning to vote for in the election? Well, because we're friends, I'll answer. But I should warn you that it might not be a good idea to ask just anyone that question. Some people might find it a little personal. Oops. No worries. Actually, I haven't made up my mind. I'm leaning towards Clancy, though. I think he's better than the other guy.
I haven't made up my mind. It means I didn't think about it and I didn't make decision. I think I'm leaning toward Clancy. It means I'm interested in him. He attracts me. Okay. Look at this part. Let's sit down and catch up. Restate each of the following sentences from the photo in your own words. Let's sit down and catch up. Yeah, we are in this page 99. Yes. Let's sit down and catch up. For example, let's sit down and talk together. What are you up to these days? What do you do? Is everything okay? Some people might find it a little personal. Look at here. Some people might find it a little personal شخصی. خوششون نمیاد در موردش صحبت کنن. So they don't like to talk about it. It's a private. No worries, no problem. Actually, I haven't made up my mind. I told you I didn't make decision about it. And I'm leaning toward Clancy. It means I'm interested in him and he's attractive, for example. Answer the question based on the understanding of the photo. Why does Paul say, what a coincidence? Because they see each other suddenly in the same place, he say, what a coincidence. What does Paul mean when he says busy? The office has been crazy because it is the election time. He's working in a TV station, so he is too busy in this time. Why does Carlo ask whether Paul minds if ask him a political question? Because you see, almost people think it's private. It's a little personal for them. So he asks if it is bothering him. Why does Paul warn Carlo not to ask some people about their political? Again, because it's a little personal. Discuss the topics. Do you like to talk about politics? Do you think politics is a good topic for discussion with just anybody? Or is it politics always a little too personal? What do you think? Explain, answer, record your words, and send it to me. Review the types of government from page 98. Do you think every country should have the same form of government? Why don't all countries have the same form of government? In your opinion, is there a best form of government? Explain. Answer this part, write your voice and send it. Noun counts nouns that represent abstract ideas. Nouns that represent abstract ideas are always non-count nouns. Education is an important issue. اسامی که abstract idea رو نشون میدن، یعنی حالت انتزاعی دارن. مثل education، تعلیم و تربیت. تعلیم و تربیت یه حالت انتزاعی داره. ما نمیتونیم بگیم این مثلا این education، این تعلیم و تربیته. بلکه education فرایند تدریس، یادگیری و آموزش به همراه همه. پس یه حالت انتزاعی داره. هیچ وقت نمیتونیم نشونش بدیم. مثلا بگیم این الان تعلیم و تربیت، این الان education. هیچ وقت نمیتونیم بشونیم یه حالت انتزاعی داره. تمام اسامی که این حالت رو دارن غیر قابل شمارش هستن. این رو بس خاطرتون باشه. براشون از د، ا، ان استفاده نمیشه. پس این هم یادتون باشه. Education is an important issue. براش از د استفاده نمیشه. نگاه کنید حالت پلورال جمع هم نداره و غلطه. The news about politics is always interesting. اخبار یک کلمه است به معنی اخبار. نیوز که خودش به تنهایی یک کلمه مفرد حسابه، یعنی قابل شمارش نیست در زبان انگلیسی. اینو همیشه خاطرتون باشه. News about politics is always interesting. Politics یک کلمه، سیاست یک کلمه انتزاعی هست. نمیتونیم بگیم مثلا این الان سیاسته یا اون یکی الان سیاسته. نمیشه همچین چیزی رو. یه مفهوم ذهنی هست که در مورد یه چیزی داریم. This is called politics. These are the nouns that abstract ideas. اینا اسامی هستن که حالت انتزاعی دارن، غیر قابل شمارش هستن و غیر قابل جمع هستن. اینو خاطرتون باشه. Advice, crime, education, health, information, investment, justice, عدالت، life, news با اینکه خودش اس جمع داره با این حال غیر قابل شمارش. این خاطرتون باشه. فعل to be که برش استفاده میشه is هست. news about politics is اخبار هست. خیلی مهمه. patience, peace, صلح، politics هم همینطور اس داره ولی به عنوان اسم غیر قابل شمارش استفاده میشه. poverty, progress, proof, success, time and work. Choose the correct form of the noun and adverbs. Our advice to you is to avoid discussing politics. ببینید advice رو اینجاست. اسم غیر قابل شمارش فعل to be که براش آوردیم and is هست. آر نمیتونیم بیاریم. نه جمعش میتونیم ببندیم نه فعل to beش جمع باشه. هم مفرد خودش هم فعل to be که براش میاریم is برای مفردها استفاده میشه. poverty این قسمت هست پس غیر قابل شمارشه. was the topic of international conference. Both candidates have programs for health and education. health and education جفتش اینجا هست. نه اسم میگیرن نه د میگیرن نه is. Making peace takes a lot of work and long time. work غیر قابل شمارش. work. Good news is بهتون گفتم news براش از فعل مفرد استفاده is hard to find. Here is some political information about election. The good news is that both candidates have program for education. اینو حذف کنید. Liberal candidates Bill Slade said financial help رو نگاه کنید غیر قابل شمارش این اسش رو حذف کنید. For the schools are a question for justice عدالت د نمیخواد. Poverty دوباره poverty اینجاست نه د میگیره نه اس هیچی. Has affected the quality of schools and students from school in poor areas do not have success غیر قابل شمارش این ایش رو حذف کنید. Jana Clark, you do the rest. Take a photo and send it to me. Let's go to the vocabulary. Radical. Supporting complete political or social change, it is called radical. Liberal. Supporting changes in political, social, or religious systems that respect different belief, ideas, etc. of other people, this is called liberal. Moderate, having opinions or beliefs, especially for about politics that are not extreme and that most people consider reasonable or sensible. Conservative محافظه کاری ما داشتیم preparing to continue do things as they have been done in the past rather than risking changes. Reactionary, strongly opposed to political and social change. Okay, listen to each conversation, then with a partner, complete the chart, listen again if necessary. If he is radical, liberal, moderate, conservative, and reactionary. Okay, complete this part, take the answers, take a photo, and send it to me. Number 5. I should find it here. Listen, please.
Page 100. Vocabulary. Exercise B. Listen to infer and activate vocabulary. Listen to each conversation. Then, with a partner, complete the chart. Listen again if necessary to check your work or settle any disagreements. Conversation 1.
I'm completely against medication. I don't think it's useful at all.
What are you talking about?
What good is it? Drugs can cause a lot of side effects that are harmful to the body. I think pharmacies should be banned, and we should always use herbal medication.
Those are pretty extreme ideas.
Is he radical or reactionary?
Well, you're finally old enough to vote, Marianne. Who are you going to vote for?
I'm going to vote for the Constitution Party.
The Constitution Party? Wow, is that a surprise? You're so young. Don't you want to see change? The Constitution Party just has the same old ideas election after election.
So, what's wrong with the same ideas? They're better than some of the new ones. I think it's safer to stick with policies that have been successful. If it isn't broke, don't fix it.
Conversation 3.
You know, I used to be afraid of change. I thought there was only one way to look at things. That the way we did things when I was young was the only way. How have you changed? Well, for instance, I used to think there should be certain roles for men and certain roles for women. Now I've come to think I was silly.
You mean you're turning out to be a radical in your old age?
Come on. I'm no radical, just more thoughtful. I'm not in favor of big changes, but a little change is good, especially when it makes people more free.
That sounds reasonable.
Conversation 4.
I can't imagine bringing children into this 21st century world.
What do you mean?
Well, there are no rules anymore. You can buy anything, anywhere. You can see all kinds of disgusting stuff on TV and in the movies. Anything goes. There's no respect.
I can't believe anyone so young can have such old ideas.
I think we should bring back some of the old laws.
Conversation 5.
Who are you going to vote for?
I think I'm going to vote for Bartlett Nardone.
I thought you liked Al Smith.
No, he's too liberal for me. But Nardone, he's not so extreme. He's a pretty sensible guy.
Okay, let's go to the conversation. Listen, please. Number 6.
Page 101. Conversation model. Exercise A. Read and listen to a conversation about politics.
Do you mind if I ask you a political question?
No problem. What would you like to know?
Well, are you a liberal or a conservative?
Actually, I'm neither. I like to make up my mind based on the issue.
So would you say
Issue means the problem, based on the problem.
you're an independent?
I guess you could say that.
If you don't want to answer,
No offense, but I feel a little uncomfortable talking about that. I hope you don't mind.
Absolutely not. It's a good thing I asked.
Okay. Read this part, record your voice and send it to me. Look at this part, stress or emphasize the meaning. You're going to read and repeat them. Listen. Number 5, 8.
page 101. Pronunciation. Stress to emphasize meaning. Exercise A. Listen to the different intonations of the same sentence. 1,
Are you a conservative?
2,
Are you a conservative?
3,
Are you a conservative?
4.
Are you a conservative?
You see, when they are normal, this is normal stress. The second one, it is when you are surprised. And number 3 is, for example, I'm surprised. Among all people, it would be conservative. You see the way that they are pronouncing. Listen.
Now listen again and repeat.
Are you a conservative?
Are you a conservative?
Are you a conservative?
Are you a conservative?
You see, in this part, she is surprised. It's based on their ideas, they are changing the intonation. Which political question do you think would be too personal or conversational? Which one of the two do you think is too personal, or it can make a discussion arguable, for example? What advice would you like to give the president, prime minister, king, or queen? You can tick the answer. What do you think about president, prime minister, king, or queen? What do you think about the government's policies? Are you a liberal or conservative? Who are you voting for an election? Complete this part, take a photo and send it to me, please. And in this part, you should make a new conversation based on the model that we studied. And you can answer the questions, complete it, take a photo and send it. And let's look at this conversation, please. Number 9.
Page 102. Conversation model. Exercise A. Read and listen to a polite conversation about a controversial issue.
How do you feel about capital punishment? I'm in favor of it. I believe if you kill someone, you deserve to be killed. What about you?
Actually, I'm against the death penalty. I think it's wrong to take a life no matter what.
Well, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree.
Okay. You see, capital punishment is the punishment of a crime such as murder by death. And this penalty is the sentence of death as punishment for a crime. So both of them are same. When you want to show that you agree or disagree, you can use these two parts. For agreement, I guess we'll have to agree to disagree. It means we have different ideas. We are not in the same boat. Really, I have to disagree with you here. You see, they are disagree. And do you think so? I'm not sure. I agree. Well, I am afraid not. And in agreement, when you both of you have the same idea, I agree with you on that one. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly what I think. Read this part, record your voice, and send it to me. Let's go to this part. Listen to the vocabulary. After listening, you should record your voice and send it to me, please. Number 13. Yes.
Page 102. Vocabulary. Some controversial issues. Exercise A. Read and listen.
Censorship of books and movies. Compulsory military service. Lowering the driving age.
Raising the voting age. Prohibiting smoking indoors.
Okay. Listen to the activate vocabulary. Listen to the people's opinion about controversial issues. Controversial issues means arguable issues, serious problems that can be arguable. Complete the chart with each issue and do you think are they for or do they agree or are they against? They disagree. We will complete this part. Let's listen please.
Page 103. Vocabulary. Exercise B. Listen to activate vocabulary. Listen to people's opinions about controversial issues. Complete the chart with each issue they discuss. Use the vocabulary. 1.
Oh no. I can't believe how inconsiderate people are. My eyes are burning and I can't taste the food. I really think smoking should be outlawed in restaurants.
So it was about smoking and she was against it.
2.
I'm a pacifist. I'm against all wars, no matter what. I really think governments would be less likely to go to war if there weren't so many soldiers to send. Let's change the law so the government doesn't have such a large military force.
You see? He's talking about compulsory military service and he is against it.
3.
Look at this article in the newspaper. It says research has proved that 16-year-olds are not mature enough to drive cars. People shouldn't be permitted to drive until they're at least 18. I think we should change the driving age.
4.
I think it's ridiculous that people can go in the army at 18, but they can't vote until they're 21. 18-year-olds are smart enough to vote.
5.
Some of the things you see on TV these days are horrible. I don't want my children watching so much violence and immoral behavior. Can't we stop the TV stations from showing such terrible stuff?
Okay. Complete this part, take a photo and send it to me. For grammar part, verbs followed by objects and infinitives. Certain verbs can be followed by infinitives, but some verbs must be followed by an object before an infinitive. infinitive فعل to به اضافه فعل به صورت ساده اینو قبلا توضیح دادم و object هم به معنی مفعول هست. بعضی از افعال هستن که فقط بعدشون میتونن از to به اضافه فعل استفاده کنن، بعضی ها هستن میتونن مفعول هم استفاده کنن. افعالی که فقط بعدشون از to استفاده میشه the verbs cannot be followed by an object بعدشون مفعول استفاده نمیشه. agree, appear, cannot, afford, can wait, decide, deserve, hope, learn, manage, need, offer, plan, pretend, refuse and sing. The verbs that followed by an object before an infinitive افعالی هستن که قبل میتونن از مفعول هم استفاده کنن. advice, allow, cause, convenience, encourage, invite, permit, persuade, remind, request, require, tell, urge and warn. You should memorize them. این قسمت باید کامل حفظ کنید. Complete each statement or question with an object and an infinitive. The newspaper advised all voters to register early for the next election. Advice. میایم advice رو پیدا میکنیم. تو کدام قسمت advice؟ advice اینجاست. فعلی هستش که میتونیم با یه آبجکت یعنی مفعول بعدش استفاده کنیم. یه آبجکت یا مفعول رو میتونیم استفاده کنیم. نگاه کنید the newspaper advised پیشنهاد دادن توصیه کردن all voters این مفعول جمله‌مونه register for an early for the next election. Do you mind your daughter to complete her vote registration card? Do you mind? Remind. You see, we can use object. We persuade. Look at persuade is here. بعد از persuade میتونیم از فعل مفعول استفاده کنیم. We persuade our friends to vote our candidates. The teacher always encourages students to study every night. Can't we conceive legislate to lower taxes on property؟ پس تمام مفعولی که اینجا استفاده شد بعدش از مفعول استفاده کردیم، از این باکس استفاده کرده بودیم. Discuss the controversial issues politely. With a partner, challenge the conversation, wonder, give reason for your point of view, use vocabulary and expression. This is based on the model that we just studied. Complete it, take a photo and send it to me. Let's go to this reading section. We are going to listen. Be careful after listening. You are going to record your voice and send it to me. 16. Okay. Wait, I should find it. Number top notch 3B. Unit 9, number 16.
Page 104. Reading. Read and listen.
The following issues were most frequently mentioned in a global survey about current world problems.
Corruption. People all over the world
Okay, corruption means the abuse of power by people in government or business. Facade. Okay?
complain about the corruption of police, government officials, and business leaders. Two examples of corruption are a police officer takes money, a bribe.
Bribe. When a police officer takes a money, we call it a bribe, rishwe.
From a driver, so he doesn't give the driver a ticket for speeding. A company that wants to do business with a
Okay, ticket for speeding. جریمه برای سرعت.
government agency offers a public official money or a gift to choose that company for the job. Some people feel that power promotes corruption and that corruption is unavoidable. But in independent media, for example, non-government-backed newspapers, television stations, and internet blogs can also play an important role in exposing corruption. Poverty.
Poverty. When there is no money, people cannot provide them with their food, clothes, and the basic requirements in their life. فقر.
Approximately 1/5 of the world's population, over 1 billion people, earns less than $1 a day.
Okay, approximately nearly.
Each day, over 1 billion people in the world lack basic food supplies. And according to UNICEF, each day, 25,000 children under the age of 5 die of starvation or preventable infectious disease.
Starvation, it means hunger, being hungry for a long time.
There are many causes of poverty, ranging from catastrophic natural events to bad economic and agricultural policies. So there's no one solution to poverty worldwide. Some people feel that wealthy nations must send aid to poorer nations, while others are concerned that nothing will help unless local corruption is reduced and bad government policies are changed. Terrorism. Every day we see or hear about suicide bombings and other violent.
Suicide bombing, it means actually when people kill themselves because of their beliefs.
Acts committed against innocent people for religious or political reasons. Many ask why terrorism is on the rise. Some social scientists believe that television and movies may contribute to growing anger. They claim that some people may feel frustrated and powerless when they measure their lives against the lives of extremely wealthy people they see in the media. However, views about what causes terrorism can be very controversial, and many people disagree about its causes or possible solutions. While some feel that terrorism can be met with military force, others believe that people's extreme poverty and powerlessness must be reduced to make a difference. Racism and discrimination.
Okay, Racism is judging or harming a group of people because of their racial or ethnic heritage. Racism, discrimination, it means the belief that other racial or ethnic groups are inferior to one's own.
Racism, the belief that one's own race or ethnic group is superior to others. And racial and ethnic discrimination, treating members of other groups unfairly, exist in many places. These two common problems cause human rights violations all over the world. In some cases, a more powerful ethnic or racial group justifies the domination and, horribly, even the complete destruction of ethnic or racial minorities they consider to be inferior. When taken to this extreme, genocides, such as the European Holocaust and the massacre in Sudan, have threatened to wipe out entire peoples.
Okay, this genocide means an attempt to destroy all members of a racial or ethnic group.
Can racism and discrimination be eliminated? Or are these simply unfortunate features of human nature? Many people believe that education can help build tolerance of the other and may contribute to creating a more peaceful world.
Okay, let's go. We are going to match these words with an explanation of the left sentence. A lack of necessary money to survive means poverty. The attempt to destroy all members of a racial group. Genocide. Judging or harming people because of their racial and ethnic heritage. Okay, number 3, judging or harming people because of their local and ethnic heritage. This is racism. Money paid or some other reward given to a person to perform a dishonest or unethical act to provide a favor. This is a bribe. The abuse of power by people in government or business. Corruption. And number 6, the belief that other racial or ethnic groups are inferior to one's own. For number 6, the belief that the other racial or ethnic groups are inferior to one's own. This is discrimination. Let's go to the next part. Based on the information in the reading, cross out the one word or phrase in each row that is unrelated to other. Explain your reasoning. For example, people, politics, ethnic groups, races. Which one is different? All these 3 are related to politics, but this one is not. Money, property, income, and racism. All of these are related to financial problems. Racism is not related. Bribe, corruption, discrimination, and money. These are known the break of the law. Money is not related. Hunger, starvation, domination, lack of food. Domination is not related because these 3 are synonyms. Racism, business, discrimination, prejudice. Business is not related to these 3 words. Capital thinking, discuss each of the following. Reread the section on corruption in the reading. What do all acts of corruption have in common? What do you think? Do you think it's possible to end corruption, or do you feel it's a part of human nature? Use a specific example in your discussion. Answer this question, write it completely, take a photo and send it to me. What are some of the causes of poverty and what are its effects? In your opinion, why do people engage in acts of terrorism? Is terrorism an expression of power or powerlessness or frustration? Provide examples to support your opinion. Number 4, what reasons do people have to hate other groups? Is hatred of another group ever understandable, appropriate, or justified? Explain the reasons for your opinion. Do you see a single problem connecting all four issues in the reading? If so, what is it? Completely answer the questions, take a photo and send it to me, please. In this part, you can number from 1 to 6. Put the goal in order, importance, difficulty. Which one is the most important? Reducing poverty or hunger? The most important one, the least important up to 6. Preventing terrorism, avoiding war, ending or reducing corruption, wiping out racism and ethnic discrimination, protecting human rights. Which one is important? Number them. Write some possible solution to global problems. These are the global problems. You can add yourself. Write the solution. What do you think? Explain your answer. Take a photo and send it to me. Vocabulary. How to debate in issues politely. Read and listen. And you are going to repeat after listening. Number 17. Listen, please.
Page 106. Before you listen. Exercise A. Vocabulary. How to debate an issue politely. Read and listen. 1.
I think smoking is a disgusting habit. That may be true, but if you only smoke in your own house, you're not hurting anyone but yourself.
2.
I think more people should be active in politics. That way we would have better governments.
I see what you mean, but it's not realistic to expect everyone to care.
3.
I think our president is doing an excellent job.
Well, on the one hand, he's not corrupt, but on the other hand, he hasn't done much to improve the country.
4.
I think we should just vote against everyone who's in office now. That's a good way to get change.
That's one way to look at it, but how do we know inexperienced candidates will be any better than what we already have?
Okay, you see, take a look at this part. When you are expressing different ideas, that may be true, but I have another idea. I see what you mean. You see, I understand, but this is the way politely you can express your contrasting idea. Well, on one hand, but on the other hand. Well, on one hand, we have one idea, on the other hand, expressing the opposite idea. That's one way to look at it, but you see, you can use but after using these phrases and explain your answer politely. There is no take turn saying and responding each opinion. Use the vocabulary above to disagree politely. You see, you should read this sentence. Which one of them do you agree or disagree? If you are disagree, use these phrases in order to explain your answer politely. So read them, answer, record your voice and send it. Listen to summarize. Listen to 3 conversations about dictatorship, democracy, and monarchy. And then separate on a piece of paper. Take note about the arguments in favor or against them. Governments. Okay, summarize the government. You see, you are going to listen. After listening, you should summarize them. What do you understand? On a piece of paper, write it.
Page
Send
107.
it to me.
Listening comprehension. Listen to summarize. Listen to 3 conversations about dictatorship, democracy, and monarchy. Conversation 1.
You know, I feel that some countries don't deserve democracy. The citizens are just incapable of living in peace.
Well, what form of government would be best for them?
I hate to say it, but some places need dictatorships, even military dictatorships. They're effective, they're efficient, they make people live in peace.
I totally disagree. I believe dictatorships are morally wrong. The people have no rights in a dictatorship. If the government does something terrible, the people can't replace it.
Conversation 2.
Which party are you going to vote for in the election?
The Liberal Party.
Why?
Because they want to change the election laws so there can be only 2 candidates for president.
But that's not democratic. This is a democracy. The People have the power. They can vote for who they like. That's what's good about democracy.
That's one way to look at it. But one of the disadvantages of democracy is that we can get a president who only has a small percentage of the votes. We're supposed to have majority rule, not minority rule.
Conversation 3.
How do you feel about the royal family?
Me? Well, on the one hand, I like the royals as people. They do a lot of important charity work, like visiting sick children and raising money for hospitals. But on the other hand, I believe that in this day and age, monarchy is wrong. The monarchs aren't the real government, and they cost us a lot of money.
That's true. But if you didn't have the monarchy, you'd lose your tradition and your history.
Okay. You should write a summary of the conversation, take a photo and send it to me. Choose an issue, choose a problem that you would like to debate. You see there are some debate topics here. Select one of them. For example, banning text messaging while driving. Choose text messaging. Or decriminalizing the use of the illegal drugs. Or preventing children from going to movie theaters to see extremely violent movies. Select one of them, write it here, and arguments in favor, arguments against. What do you think the arguments are in favor and what do you think are against them? For example, text messaging. Why is it good or why is it bad? Explain it, take a photo and send it to me, please. And in this part, there is a listening. Listen to the news report about 4 news stories. Then listen and correct the words and phrases. Let's listen. Number 19.
Page 108. Exercise A. Listen to the news report about 4 news stories.
Good evening. Fighting has broken out again tonight on the border between the Sarindian and Ramey provinces. Ethnic Sarindians say they are not permitted to observe their dietary laws and that their children are not permitted to wear traditional dress at school. On another note, a package containing a large amount of explosive material was discovered at the Central Post Office today. Authorities are searching for the person or persons who left it in the men's restroom. In the central city, volunteers are opening soup kitchens to feed the large numbers of homeless poor who have recently arrived from the countryside. The government is making funds available to help this growing population. And finally, a police captain in Spartak has been accused of taking bribes to permit engineers to build buildings that don't conform to safe construction laws. A report will be issued tomorrow.
Listen again and circle the correct word or phrase.
Good evening. Fighting has broken out again tonight on the border between the Sarindian and Ramey provinces. Ethnic Sarindians say they are not permitted to observe their dietary laws and that their children are not permitted to wear traditional dress at school.
Okay, let's go to the next part. Complete the paragraph about an election using verbs and counts and non-counts noun correctly. Many candidates running for election make promise about education, but progress comes slowly. And information is singular, shouldn't have s, is hard to get. Voters would like to see proof that their advice is being followed. Advice is being followed, as advice is non-countable. For instance, we are just now receiving news then about the situation of education statistics, and it's not really very good. Help is needed. help هم non-countable ده نمیخواد. And time is necessary to improve your school. time هم غیر قابل شمرش. Complete the sentence. The law doesn't allow the constitution. The law doesn't allow the president change the constitution, the president to change or change the constitution. The law doesn't allow the president to change the constitution. Our friend advised us not to be disappointed with the election. The Constitution requires senators to leave offices after 2 terms. The election committee permitted the candidates to speak about their educational policies. Disagree politely with statements. I told you how to manage the sentence if you want to show that you are disagreeing. Take a look at these phrases when you want to express your ideas politely, and when you disagree with somebody, you should use them. So, monarchies are dictatorship. Politely show them how it's run. There is no such thing as real democracy anywhere in the world. Politely answer this one. All people with power are corrupt. Answer politely for all this part. Take a photo and send it to me. Write at least 2 paragraphs about one of these issues: compulsory military service, capital punishment, censorship of books and movies. Include both the pros and cons of the issue. Select one of these topics. You should write the advantages and disadvantages about each of the topics. Explain at least 2 paragraphs. Take a photo and send it to me. And this part. In this part you can see 3 conversations. We have 3 conversations. Create a conversation between a man and woman on picture 1. Continue the conversation discussing corruption in general. In this part you should talk about corruption. Look at this picture about the judge who was taking bribes in the court. Make a conversation. For number 2, 2 ladies are talking. Create a conversation between the 2 women in picture 2. It starts like this. Look, another terrorist bombing. Terrible. What would you think causes this? And for the 3rd picture, create a conversation between 2 men discussing election in Senegal. Do you mind if I ask you a question about the election in Senegal? You should make 3 conversations. Complete it. Take a photo and send it to me. Let's call it a day. Have a nice time and bye.